Hello and welcome to How to Win the Lottery author interview. First in a little while. It's been a little while.
Blake was the last one, yeah.
Blake was like, we're only doing authors and we do all of their work.
Yeah.
With us today, we've been reading her work all season long. It's Danielle Chelosky. Hello, Danielle.
Hi.
Thank you for coming to the show. Thank you for writing. Thank you for giving us things to talk about. And welcome.
Thanks.
I think like a thing that happened to us with this, and it's happened with other authors too, is there's like such a specific line between fiction and nonfiction, and we treated all of this stuff as though it were fiction, in spite of like you using your literal name in a like Philip Rothian sense. How do you feel about that? Is that the right way to read, do you think?
Wow, you stole my question.
Yeah.
Ideally, like, it would be fun to read things without thinking about genre at all. Like, I hate when people are asking me questions of like, oh, is this nonfiction or fiction? Because sometimes like it's not either. It's like both. Or yeah, I feel like it can't be neither. It's just both usually. But most people assume that pregaming grief is nonfiction, I think, because it is. But some people assume that it's fiction.
Well, I think as readers, I treat a memoir way different from how I treat a novel and how I'm feeling about like characters specifically. Cause like if it's like way different, like being afraid for a person than it is being afraid for a character. It's an emotionally different read if you go into it thinking those different things. But in Pregaming Grief, I think like, I don't think you name drop yourself like full name, first and last name until like pretty far in. So that is like almost seems like a plot machination to do that.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't thinking about it. In like the front of the book, there's something that says that it's all fiction because I think that's like a legal thing.
Right. Yeah.
So people like assumed it was fiction for that reason. And I've gone like back and forth between calling it a novel and a memoir because like I don't know what it is and I kind of don't want it to matter, but like you said, there are reasons that it does matter. But I just feel like when something is nonfiction, then people will start treating it like gossip instead of writing, and that always annoys me.
Yeah,
because he's sort of trained me and we call her producer, but just our friend Meg, who reads along with us, to like treat work as though it is fiction and not memoir. And then, so we've been approaching everything. And I think, I don't remember if I mentioned before we started recording or not, but we recorded out of order. We did Baby Bruise and Female Loneliness before we did Pregaming Grief. And so we sort of got to the end and it sort of it was a weird kind of turn of events where doing Pregaming Grief last kind of is like, oh, actually, it might all sort of be autofiction in a way. So sort of doing them out of order kind of changed the perception maybe. But if you put out a new piece, like or if you go back and read Cheat or Show Me Your Face or Baby Bruise, like how much of that do you care if people approach it as autofiction, or do you want them, or I know you said that genre doesn't matter, or you don't want it to matter, but do you care how people approach your work if they haven't read any of it before?
Well, there was one guy who reviewed Pregaming Grief and totally just reviewed it like he was reviewing my life instead of the book. It was like so bad. That was weird. Because he was like, why isn't she thinking about marriage? And I'm like, bro, first of all, I'm like 20 in the book. What do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the other thing that I thought specifically about Pregaming Grief, because that's the one that's like most forefront in my mind. And we were just talking about this, is that there are scenes in that book that where there's like the Andrew is like being very didactic about art towards the Danielle character. I'm putting character in quotes here. And like as readers in that moment, like Danielle, the character in the book, is not being judgmental about that at all. But as readers of that, like we think like, oof, what a pedantic dick. Like he is just like, and like Danielle, the author, is not being judgmental of that, but Danielle, the author, also has to know that we're going to read that scene that way, right? So that feels like that's such a conscious aesthetic decision.
Yeah, it's also like so hard to write those kinds of scenes and capture like how I actually in that moment was like enjoying it. Whereas now, like, I read it and I'm like, I think I did a good job of making it not seem cringe, but it was hard to do. Like, I didn't want to include any like band names, but my editor wanted me to have like some cultural references, but doing that kind of thing is so hard because I feel like pretentious. Like I don't know. I name drop Fugazi and Elliott Smith. I feel like those are like good ones, but probably some people were rolling their eyes. I don't know.
There was one paragraph in particular that I read on the episode where it was, you mentioned Chuck Klosterman and Strangers with Candy and like a couple other things that like, they're not necessarily my favorite. Like I did grow up loving Chuck Klosterman, but it's all like people that we're friends with. Like it's all their favorite things. I'm like, this is like too close to a very specific person that we know where it's.
Oh, I've definitely recommended Strangers with Candy to girls before. So reading that, it's like, ugh, she got me.
Yeah. We also, we talked about like in Baby Bruise about like Townes Van Zandt versus Blink-182. Like you're able to sort of like very specifically use these cultural touchstones as like to embody like who a guy is based on like one musical artist. Like, oh, that's all I need to know about him in terms of like where he was at that point in, again, the character's life.
Yeah, you're either a Blink-182 guy or you're a Townes Van Zandt guy. That's all there is. Mm-hmm. That's life. You're one of those two.
I also hate that because I hate the whole like meme thing of like, like types of guys, like manipulator music. Hopefully it didn't come off like that.
So we used to do a thing, and we would normally do this at the end of interviews, but we are no longer allowed to do it because Spotify really cracked down on us in terms of like copyright. But we used to ask everyone we talked to what song would they want as an outro song for the episode. 2 months ago, Spotify was like, you got to take all this stuff down or edit it out. And so we can't do that anymore. But while we're talking about music, if we lived in a world where we had the ability to use any song, like not like what is your like life theme song, but what song would you want to, would it be something that's referenced in these books or not, be the outro music for this interview?
Well, I've always said that my favorite like exit song is Reptilia by The Strokes.
Okay.
Because it's
all right. Yeah.
hard as fuck.
That's fun. Yeah. Cool. I wish that we could include that at the end, but
just imagine some really cool bass now, and that's all you need to do.
The world of copyright has.
Did you see that Spotify added like age constrictions today? You have to be like 18 plus for some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
No. What would you have to be 18 plus to listen to?
There's been in the last week, like there have been a number of sites that have started, including YouTube and Spotify, that have started rolling out like AI verified age restrictions for certain content. Like it's all like one company was like, oh, we do this now, and then everyone's like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this too.
So you're telling me that 14-year-olds can't listen to Eminem anymore? What would high school have been like if that were the context?
Sad thought.
This is getting off topic, but there's the new game that came out, Death Stranding 2, where it looks so good that you can use the photo mode in that, and people are holding their phone up to the TV, and like Norman Reedus's face on the TV is so lifelike that it bypasses age verification. So, there's still ways to get around. Kids are still creative.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, too off topic.
Anyway, I want to talk a little bit about Cheat and Show Me Your Face, and then also your upcoming female loneliness epidemic. Because I think my favorite thing, I sort of have two different questions here. My favorite thing that you wrote, I believe, is Show Me Your Face, because I love the mixed media in there. Like I love the screenshots and I love the different things. So I'm wondering if you plan to do more of that. But I also want to get a sense from you of like how you determine like what form a story will take. Because we've read 4 or 5 different collections or stories by you, and they're sort of very like, some are short stories, some are like really short stories. There's a couple long form things. So I'd love to know if you have more in mind for like other mixed media projects, for lack of a better description, and also how you determine like what form factor or what length a story or an idea sort of takes.
I definitely tend to go short, which is probably bad, but I like doing it so much. Like I love just getting in and out of it. Like I write most stuff just in spurts and like in one sitting. Like when I start something, I just want to finish it. And so that's why so many stories, all the stories in Female Loneliness Epidemic are like 2 or so pages. And when I turned it into my editor, like he was reading it. And then by the time he finished it, I was like, I wrote 4 more stories. Can I add them? And he was like, yes, thank God he let me. I would have been really annoyed. And I have written more stories since then, but I'm okay with leaving them out. But yeah, as for mixed media, Female Loneliness Epidemic actually just, it started as like, I think a zine that I made that was like pictures and poems and like collage. But then I realized I had a bunch of short stories and I was like, I can probably write more and just make it a book. And so I did that instead. But I don't know, I like doing mixed media, but I get really like stressed out about it because I just want it to be perfect. Like I love visual stuff. I love using Tumblr. But I'm just like never totally satisfied with it.
Well, because I think another thing that the mixed media does that I really liked about Show Me Your Face is something that we praised you about in both your long form things and in Pregaming Grief and Baby Bruise, is that the longer form things seem to, I don't know how to summarize this quickly, like seem to exist in a world almost without technology. Like you use dating apps and you use Uber and this, that, whatever. But for the most part, it kind of feels like it could be sort of the 90s. But then Show Me Your Face is like, no, here's a literal iPhone screenshot. Like here's like what the time and the place of when this was sent. And I like both of those in different ways. But I think that there's something very cool and textured about here is literally what I'm going through or what I was going through, or here's like a digital memento of that time.
Yeah, especially because some of those screenshots were from my Finsta, which I had in high school, and it's just like sitting there with over 10,000 posts. I'm like, I could probably use all these random memories for something, but I don't know. There's just so much to think about. Like I have my old email address that I've looked through for stuff. I just have so much digital memorabilia. It stresses me out.
I used to teach college, and I had a lot of conversations with students about Finstas. They had to like tell me what that was, because that's like, I'm on Instagram and stuff, but that's like a little bit, I don't know. I never like, maybe I'm too old for that or something. But it was interesting because the way that they presented it to me, the Finsta seemed like even though fake is right there in the name, like seemed like the real actual representation of the person. And that struck me as very similar to the way that fiction works or writing novels works, is that you are allowed to explore parts of yourself or emotions that are like kind of gross, unsavory, maybe not acceptable or palatable to whatever audience you would allow to access to your mainstream Instagram or your or like your conversations with friends that you can't have that you will put in your fiction. There's no question at the end of this. I'm just sort of.
You're really stealing everything from me today.
But does that feel like? I don't want to harp on the memoir thing, but like because so much of what you're talking about in these books it's actually stuff that like maybe people would be uncomfortable discussing in real life, except for like outside of a few very close friends or whatever. But like, does fiction serve that, or does writing serve that purpose to you? Like it's a way to I don't know, explore that sort of thing in much in the same way that a Finsta would be.
Yeah, that's probably why I love the internet so much. It's kind of bad though. It's like I sort of feel like I don't exist if I'm not writing or like posting.
I don't know that that's unique to the internet, right? I think probably like Ernest Hemingway probably felt that way about writing too, right? Like he was just like being drunk asshole to his wife or whatever, but then is also like, if nobody read Old Man in the Sea, he probably would have felt like he didn't exist to the rest of the world, you know?
Yeah.
Like the internet's just reflecting. It's just like the most modern reflection of that stuff.
Yeah, I just think I can write very compulsively to the point where it could feel like a bad habit. Not lately, but like before now. Like I have a whole sequel to Pregaming Grief, and I was gonna like do something with it, but now I'm like, I literally just wrote this because I just felt like writing all the time. Like I was just documenting for years, and it's like 100,000 words.
Wow.
It's like so sloppy because it's like I was just trying to race with time and like keep up with every memory. I also have like a shit memory, so I guess that's part of why I do it too, to just remember stuff.
Are you familiar with Megan Boyle's live blog?
Oh, yes, I haven't read it, but that sounds similar.
It is a fucking masterpiece. It is like, it is something so, but it's exactly what you're talking about. It's just like, I don't know. I don't know if it was comforting to her or ultimately awful for her to do.
But I also think that like actually bringing this back to a conversation we were having in the Pregaming Grief episode was one thing that we were both like really kind of pleasantly surprised about, which I know is a weird thing to say about like what I'm about to say, but like the fact that it was like a COVID/quarantine thing felt very like not untapped market or whatever, but like not a lot of people seem to be covering that. And when we talked to Megan about live blog, she said that she had done a live blog 2020 because like she was in COVID and just like, I want to, like I have creative energy. I want to get out there. And she wrote that thing. And I don't think it ever like became a thing, but it is kind of all coming full circle where it's like the COVID thing, the quarantine, creative outlet, capturing the moment.
Yeah. I mean, writing is a real gift during quarantine. It's got to be, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
COVID as in like aesthetic backdrop, like does that?
No, I was struggling with how to like confront it. It was pretty pretentious. I used the word plague once, I think, but I was like, it's right there. I'm not using the word pandemic. Like it's just not cute.
Yeah.
I don't think I used the word quarantine either. It's like those are just buzzwords. Like I did not want them near my art.
No, I think it really works because what it does is it like paints such a specific picture of a moment in time without having it be melodramatic in a way that I think that we expect like a 9/11 novel to be or something like that. But it's just like, because there's more collective experience around this one event, that there's like more variety to it. And a lot of it, like a lot of the experience of COVID has nothing to do with COVID. It has to do with like driving around with your friend and streets being like kind of empty.
Yeah. Like I feel like I just, at that point in my life of like being like 20, it was hard for me to process like anything. You're just like trying to get through the day. So I feel like I never was like freaking out about the pandemic. I mean, I'm usually like just hanging out in my room anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, my friend and I used it as an excuse to go on road trips. So
No, my favorite part of that novel is the invasion of empty spaces and abandoned places. That's like, I don't know, that's a very cool thing to do. I love that.
Yeah, it's so annoying because like I have the most beautiful photos of the buildings, but putting it into words, it's like so hard. I'm like, I just want to put these photos, but
so put them in the book. Why did you just put them in the book?
I know. I don't know.
So you were saying that you have this written but unpublished like sequel to this. Like, does it happen immediately after? Like how do they interact, or like what without like, I guess, explicitly saying what it's about? Like, where does it pick up where it left off, or is it like just the same character, the same you years later?
I started writing it when I was still working on pregaming grief, but by the time I like wanted to add to the ending that I had, but like I knew that my editor wouldn't let me, so I just like did the cliffhanger thing. I think it's like 10,000 more words of the relationship that's in pregaming grief, and then it's just like 4 other relationships, not like long term, obviously. I'm 24 now, so I guess it's been like 3-4 years, but I think it's like 4 or 5 specific romantic sexual relationships, and some are like a day and others are like months.
Yeah. It's not like Danielle becomes a private detective and
No.
Although that does, so I don't remember why we came up with this, but when we were reading Cheat, I don't know, are you familiar with the director Nacho Vigalondo?
I don't think so.
He's like a sci-fi guy. He's done he did Colossal with Anne Hathaway. It's probably his like most mainstream movie, but he did this time travel movie called Time Crimes, but he also has this movie called Extraterrestrial, which is there's an alien invasion in like going on in the world, but it's just like a domestic drama. Like the backdrop is alien invasion, but the story is just like a couple having issues or whatever. And I don't know, I don't remember how it came up or where it came up.
I know how it came up.
How did it come up?
I feel like I'm always trying to talk people like my friend, I try to talk my friend Bud Smith into writing a science fiction novel, because like I like it when writers writers who specifically are writing, like I would call what you write social realist or something, or auto fiction, something within that realm. And I like the idea of seeing writers try to like almost interrupt themselves or their natural like aesthetic thought process with something outside of that thought process, like it's something that like you would typically think of as being stupid, like time travel or alien invasion or something like that.
So we were thinking that we really would love it if you wrote a story that was similar to what you've been writing, but also there's like a Godzilla attacking the city. So like it's still about like this Danielle character who is like,
yeah, so do that, Danielle.
trying to make her life like find the one, or you know, just like get by or whatever.
Find the one.
Look, I don't know, man. I'm getting married in 2 months.
What do you think of that phrase, find the one?
But I don't want to get, let's back burner that for 1 second. But
Joey and I are becoming a bickering couple right now. If you
Wow.
we've done like 100 something episodes
in real
of
time.
this. But no, I want to, like, I would love to see you, the Danielle character, meeting up with like a Hinge date, but also Godzilla's down the street like fucking shit up. Like, do you think you could do that?
I do have some stuff that like has supernatural elements. There was this story that I wrote recently that really leaned into the absurd, but then my editor was like, we think this can be absurd, but also like realistic, because it had like mythical elements and she wanted me to take them away. So she told me to do the opposite of what you're telling me to do.
Of what we're telling you to do. Yeah. That's probably good advice. I don't know that I would listen to me specifically, but this sort of leads into a little bit of the female loneliness epidemic questions, which is that there are, especially toward like the very end of that collection, there are stories that like move a little bit away from what I would think of as your typical style and move into like, I think there are some third person stories and things like that. Are you looking at all to like broaden into like things of that nature with different styles?
Yeah, I'm bored. I just wrote something, a novel. It's like 50,000 words. And that one I did because I wrote this other novel and I was working with an agent on it. And I was working on it with her for like 6 months. And I was like, I'm ready to be done with this. And then she was like, I still don't think this is done. So then I just started something new. And it's very different. It's like, because I realized my problem with the last one was that I had a problem with fleshing out all of the characters and like making a web of characters. So for this one, I did multiple point of views. And the timing was nice because I just started reading Bolaño, and that very much helped. Yeah, this new one I have is really good, but I won't talk about it because you haven't read it, and I don't know when the fuck it's going to be published.
Well,
but
I mean, we'll read it when it comes out. Maybe we'll talk about it then.
But actually, before we get too far away, in terms of female loneliness, because this episode will come out in mid-September, when and where, and we can also do this again at the end, but like when and where can people, like, what's the date and where do people find it, where they buy it or download it, or who's publishing it, all the important questions to get you money.
farwestpress.com. I think it'll be on Amazon if they don't ban us for the cover, because there's a butt on it.
Whoa.
But I think it's okay.
Putting a butt on the cover?
I know, my publisher's worried about it. I'm like, I feel like it's fine.
There's a butt, isn't there? There's a butt on Pregaming Grief, too.
Yeah, but that's not on Amazon.
It's also a painted butt. That's not a...
Yeah.
Right? This is we're talking about a real butt here. A real butt?
No, it's painted.
Oh, it's painted. Yeah, so
it's art.
It's fine.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, just do it. It's fine. Yeah. I'm a little bit jealous of the it sounds like you're incredibly productive with your 100,000 word and 50,000 word novels that have not yet come out yet.
I just don't really do anything else.
That's fair. I feel like I feel like when I write, I don't really write anymore, but when I wrote, it could like get dangerous for me because I could like very easily invoke a manic state doing that. And so, whereas that can be very good productivity wise, it's not very good in the like might jump my neighbor's fence and try to go in their pool at 3 a.m. kind of sense. Or do you deal with anything like that? Or are you like, it seems like you're very disciplined.
Yeah. I mean, once when I was like first trying to write a real novel, I was like, I'm going to write 50,000 words. This was like 2023. I was working on it and I like had this idea in my head and I was like, it's so perfect. But then like, as I was writing it, I was like, no word is like the word that I want. Like, it just didn't match this vision that I had in my head, even though like I didn't really have a vision. Like, yeah. I don't know. I was just really annoyed. And I was going through a breakup. So then I just spiraled and I was like crying every day. And then I finally started antidepressants. I started Lexapro. And so in a way I'm happy that all happened because shout out Lexapro.
Yeah.
I'm so normal now. It's crazy.
Has that affected your productivity at all? Or are you like Lexapro has been good for you?
It's been goated. It's great.
That's awesome.
But also I think I wrote the 50,000 words in the span of 4 weeks. So
holy shit.
I just went crazy with it. But I do think that getting super, super drunk on weekends also helps.
Can you effectively write while drunk? No, right?
It's just like I've done all this work.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to get wasted.
And give yourself things to write about.
Right, yeah. Fair enough.
No, not anymore.
Well, because that was another thing that I mentioned in the Pregaming Grief episode. Like, I feel bad that we keep bringing that one up, but we just recorded it, was that like there's something that I gave you credit for, is that the character in that is a music critic, but you never see her like slaving over the word or like never like see her working or whatever. And it feels like in another version of this that's not that far from what is out there, you would be like, oh, it's the tortured writer who like needs to drink because they can't find the words or whatever. And it's like, no, like she's just going around like doing her thing.
I wish that people could see the face that Danielle made when you said that. It was very like the very idea of the tortured writer was disgusting to you. It seems
I'm having a great time. Like I'm not tortured.
Exactly. Well, I actually do. So another thing that we'd like to ask the people that we interview, and we haven't done this, but successfully, but because this is a public record, we could use this and cite. I noted. Well, so I'm going to get back to it in a second, but we want to know if there's a lie that you want the internet to know. Like if you had a Wikipedia page, or if we were going to create one for you, what is the lie that you would want us to put on there? And I did see, in terms of the like writing and the critic of it all, you don't have a page, but you are cited on other pages. Do you know that? Like your name is on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Like if you search Danielle Chelosky, the first thing that comes up is the singles EP by Geese frontman Cameron Winter.
Sure, yeah.
And
Cameron Winter.
in the thing, it says both tracks were described by Danielle Chelosky of Stereogum as mournful with sprawling, poignant lyricism.
What are you doing? That's like the worst thing you can do is read someone's stuff to them.
I'm sorry.
Especially like that's stuff for my job. Like I write so many fucking Stereogum articles. Like,
but so the question I want to get back to is that if you had your own Wikipedia page, which would not be referencing Geese frontman Cameron Winter's EP singles, what do you want people to know? It can be something that like either is not out there about you that is the truth, or a fictionalized, aggrandized, or just flat out lie that you want people to believe about you.
Yeah, make something up that's insane, and we can use this as a source to force it in.
Like when we talked to Bud, I think he wanted to be like a couple inches taller than he was, or something like that, or maybe that was just what you wanted about him.
Right,
but
yeah.
it could be something small. It doesn't have to be something big or grand.
maybe that I like have French origins.
Okay.
Because I fuck with the French hard.
Okay.
Speak more about that, please. I want to know about your fucking with the French hard.
Oh, with that. Okay.
What are you thinking about talking
I
about?
thought you were like asking me to speak more about my French origins, and then I had to lie more.
Talk about fucking with the French.
I love Anis Nin, Annie Ernaux,
Sure.
Bataille. I just ordered a really cool crop top for Bataille from Semiotext yesterday. I'm excited for that. Who other French? Lots of French people are very cool.
Are you a Hollebeck person?
Oh yes.
Okay.
It's Welbeck.
Well, I'm not. He's a guy that I'm like.
Also, don't be sorry. We're very dumb.
He's a guy that I don't get, and I think that it's weird because he's like in a place where he like some people are really pissed off by him, and some people like worship him, and I read it and I'm just like I'm like in between both. Like he doesn't piss me off at all, but like also I don't know. What should I read by him that I'm not getting?
I don't know. I love all of his books. What have you tried?
Submission is the big one that I read that I was just like, I don't know. This is fine, I guess.
Damn, maybe you'll never like him.
Oh,
okay.
I think
that's possible. Yeah.
His best like conventional novel is The Map and the Territory.
Okay. Yeah, people love that one.
Yeah, it's less like aimlessly angsty and it's more focused.
But that's an example of the French that you're fucking with.
Yeah, I have read all of his books except for The Possibility of an Island, so I have to read that one.
Yeah, I don't know how much French literature I've avoided France.
Because all of Les Mis memorized.
My dad was a big French guy.
That's a red flag.
He was a French guy, fucking all the time with France. So I've like intentionally removed France from my vocabulary.
Okay,
Yeah.
I understand that. Yeah.
On the topic of other writers, though,
France.
this is the second time we've done this kind of thing. Like we did Blake Butler. We did like selected Blake Butler works, like mostly his fiction and not necessarily his memoir. And then we talked to him. And now we've done your work and we've talked to you. Are there other authors either that you admire or that you're friends with or that you think could kind of work if we read 4 or 5 or 6 books by someone that either spans a thing or they do a thing well or just that you're a fan of that you think that we could or should try to get on the podcast?
Yeah, who would you want to see a deep dive of?
Welbeck.
That guy's not answering our emails though.
That would be so funny though.
Right? Like he's not answering. I think he's also very suspicious of internet interloper because he got caught in that porn thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That made me so sad. They were being so mean to him.
I don't know enough about it, but like it did seem like I'll go to bat for him. It did seem like they were maybe being mean to him.
Elizabeth Ellen, my editor, after you forgive her for not sending you my book in time.
She's forgiven. I've only read I read Fast Company. That's her, right? Is that the name of her book?
Fast Machine,
not Fast Company, which has the most fucking crazy story about Dave Eggers in it that like I have it's insane. It is
I
an
haven't read
insane
it yet.
story.
I'm so fake. But she just published a really good book called American Thighs, and it's really crazy.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like you guys can do anything because you interviewed Blake Butler, and aren't his books like 500 pages?
It was really difficult.
It's not so much even how long they are. It's that they're very, like, on a sentence to sentence basis can be like pretty opaque. Like it's not the easiest thing in the world to understand on a sentence to sentence.
It's also like, this is going to sound either condescending or something, but like, it's never not apparent how smart he is. And like, he's not rubbing your face in it, but he's just like, I'm really smart and I'm a really good writer. And it's just like, this is so difficult to sort of,
yeah, it was intimidating, but he was really nice. Also, maybe you'll enjoy this. Blake is a guy that I admire a lot, and we went to meet him, and we'd known his wife Megan Boyle for a little bit, but we went to meet him. Within 2 seconds of meeting him and talking to him, I bit my tongue so hard that my mouth filled with blood. And I had to spend the rest of the time in my conversation with him swallowing my own blood and trying not to smile or anything in case I would have those teeth, like, you know, when teeth, like
hockey
like
teeth,
yep. that just were like covered in blood, and trying to not seem like I think I pulled it off, but like it was one of those like nightmare scenarios of meeting someone whose work you really admire and then just being like, there's no way for me to look good in this circumstance.
I will say that you pulled it off because I was in that conversation. I did not notice you like filling up with blood. So
it's a disaster.
I think he would have found it charming though if you were just covered in blood.
Yeah, maybe. He is a fan of your work, didn't he? He blurbed something of yours, didn't he?
Yeah, he's sweet.
Yeah. That's I think that is how I like, because you pop up on like Twitter, like in those like circles. I do not really fuck with Twitter.
He's got a Twitter.
But like,
is that a thing?
Yeah, sure. I have the Finsta equivalent of Twitter where I just like, browse. But like, yeah, circles like that. Like that's where your name came up.
You're
and
lurking?
I was like, oh, this is one of the people that we can talk to maybe. So.
Because you had bought Baby Bruise when it came out.
I had Baby Bruise already. Yeah. Which we haven't talked about at all. Let's talk about Baby Bruise briefly, because I know you have to go to work in 20 minutes.
Actually, I want one other question before we talk about Baby Bruise, because so much of Pregaming Grief and your other work is set like in Brooklyn, and also talking about Blake. Like we met Blake, we went to a reading of his at Powerhouse Books. Do you have a favorite bookstore in Brooklyn or anywhere in New York? Because a lot of Pregaming Grief is you in bookstores or record stores and just kind of like being near someone, but not necessarily like with someone, which I think is a very cool, like specific feeling that I think you capture well. But do you have a favorite either bookstore or record store in New York or Brooklyn?
Yeah, I think my favorite bookstore is Molasses. It's very small, but it's very cute, and I think it's in Pregaming Grief a couple times. And then I did a reading there in December, and I was like emo, and it was beautiful.
Wait, I have a short question about that, because you are are you like, is emo, like, would you categorize yourself within the realm of being an emo quote person?
I mean, yeah, there's a Title Fight poster. There's a Basement poster. I don't know if you know these bands. It's Super Heaven.
Well, my specific question, because you did a reading with Jeff Rickley, correct?
Oh,
is that correct?
yes.
Okay, so Thursday was like, when I was a senior in high school, Thursday was like the band. So if you're like an emo how was that? Can you say nice things about Jeff Rickley?
Of course. I mean, I had already interviewed him twice before that, and then we were the first people to show up to the reading, so we were just chatting, and he bought me a drink.
All right.
So he's very sweet. I got into Thursday because my high school guidance counselor saw me wearing a brand new shirt, and he was like, "That's my favorite band." And then he showed me Thursday.
Oh, you got a high school guidance counselor that's an emo guy.
Yeah,
all these guys in your life are teaching you about music.
This is I don't know how much I want my guidance counselor to be.
I would
emo
not.
guy.
I would not feel good about that.
No, he's a sweetie.
Yeah.
That feels a little bit like
no,
Sorry Baby.
That's cool.
Do you have a favorite record store though?
In the city, it's been a while since I've gone, because I live
or anywhere in that people listen.
It's been a while since I've gone to a record store at all, actually. I have a collection that's like overflowing on my little desk, and I'm trying to not spend money on records anymore because I have so much fucking stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Too much.
Do you get free records from Stereogum?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes publicists send me free records, and that's nice. Nice perk.
That's a good deal. Yeah.
So Baby Bruise?
Oh, Baby Bruise. A thing that I liked about Baby Bruise, and a thing that I also liked about Pregaming Grief, and I think that you might disagree with this, and it might also go back to the true story versus fiction versus nonfiction conversation. But like I think that a lot of people writing those books, their instincts would be to go like as dark as they could go and move toward something that was like, you know, when you read, and there's spoiler alerts here, I guess. I don't really care about spoilers, but people have gotten mad at us about this in the past. Like in Baby Bruise, it's like you are kind of waiting in that book for Otto to do something really bad, right? And it just doesn't happen. And that is in some ways narratively frustrating, but like listeners of this show will recognize as a almost cliche that I enjoy being narratively frustrated. I like that. That's what I want. I want those books to not go as dark as they, or just to like pivot when you think that they're going to do the most dramatic thing possible to move away from that drama. And again, this might be answered by the nonfiction versus fiction thing, but like aesthetically, what's the decision there? Is that a conscious choice to move away from like, you know, what would be the melodramatically intense thing to happen in those circumstances?
Yeah. Well, first I can say it's all fiction. So.
Okay, good.
But I mean, Otto doing like a really bad thing is just like not the story that I wanted to tell. Like I mostly started writing it because I was really inspired by Sean Baker's movie Red Rocket.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
A lot.
Oh, I think it's even on the back for fans of. I think Red Rocket is listed. Yeah.
Yeah. I write a lot about age gap relationships. I find them very interesting, just like the contrast of, you know, like youth and wisdom, but then it's like rarely wisdom, more just like experience. The ending is kind of vague.
Then do you mean the ending with reference to Otto and what Otto is like?
Yeah.
How actually evil Otto might be versus what he did to or didn't do to the narrator?
I feel like people could be mad at me for how I ended it.
Well, I don't know. I would tell those people to jump in a lake. I don't know. Yeah, we don't. Why would they be mad at you? Just because you're denying them the idea of like
closure
or being judgmental of a character that did something bad?
Well, also, Baby Bruise is my least favorite of mine. I just want to say that.
Really? I like that book so much.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it's so mid.
All right.
Do you have a favorite of what you've written?
I mean, either Pregaming Grief or Female Loneliness Epidemic, but I also love Cheat. I think Cheat is goated.
Well, Cheat is also like doubles in Pregaming Grief. Like there's a lot of aesthetic similarities there with the second person, like moving in and out of the second person to talking about like third person boyfriends versus that second person boyfriend, and the second person boyfriend has, I guess, emotional priority just in that it's the you of the text. Like does Cheat seem like a prequel to Pregaming Grief, I guess? Yeah,
I mean, the guy that I cheat on the guy with is the same guy at the beginning of Pregaming Grief.
Right.
I don't know if that's like, did you realize that?
Yeah, no, I think it's fairly clear that it's similar to. I don't know that I would. It depends on when you're reading them. Like because we read them in like a 2 or 3 week period, so it's like that's easy. But if like someone read Cheat like, you know, in 2030 and then they read Pregaming Grief in like 2042,
oh my
then
god,
maybe they wouldn't like throw that together.
What do you have to say to those people who are reading your work in what year is it? 5 to 15 years or 5 to 17 years who are then listening to this podcast and hearing your message. Do you have a message for the readers of Pregaming Grief in 2042?
No.
When you are finally still not as old as Bob?
That's a fairly mean thing to say, but yeah.
No, whatever happens in that year is not my business. I'm communicating ahead of time. That's scary.
I think that's fair.
All right, yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Oh, I did have one other question. It's about maybe sort of to end on the female loneliness epidemic, but there were several of the stories that I felt just had like such an evocative like first sentence. And I was wondering, like, there was the one. Hold on, let me bring up the thing. The one about like the Chuck E. Cheese thing, or the Dave and Buster's. Hold on. But just like doing cocaine at your boss's son's birthday or whatever, like it's just like such a vivid.
Yeah, we've all been there.
First sentence, and I was wondering. I know you said you opt to go short, but like, do you just start with like a first sentence, or is it an idea, or you work your way back? Because like, I would say almost like as a comp, like a disproportionately high amount of those stories have like a wildly good opening sentence. And I'm wondering if like that's where you start or if that's just sort of like where you wind up. No,
yeah, that's how they start. And it's like, I can't write a story if I don't have like a crazy opening line to start with. That one in particular, well, that's dedicated to my friend Emma. And I think she texted me something about the time that she did coke on the baby changing table at Dave and Buster's, and I was like, that's your opening line.
Do you have a favorite opening line in fiction? That's a real on the spot question. That's a real on the spot question. Nonetheless, I'm asking it, so
I did just read Bad Behavior by
Mary
Gateskill, so there's probably a line in there that opens a story that's really good. I don't know. I can't recite something right now.
Well, yeah, as far as like the French are concerned, there's the stranger with the mom died today, or was it yesterday? I don't know. Can't remember. That's a pretty good opening line.
Do you have a favorite, maybe an easier question, maybe a harder question, do you have a favorite story in female loneliness?
You guys mentioned that the stories toward the end are, what did you say?
Oh, that they stray from they being more third person, right? That they're...
My favorite one was the painter, the one with the painter. I forget what that was called.
Oh, yeah, that was for Elena, who did the cover art of the book.
There you go.
I wrote it for her.
Bodies.
But that one felt to me very specific to... I guess like when I was reading your book, I was trying to put myself in the position of a 16-year-old girl, a 19-year-old girl, a 20-year-old girl, and thought of the girls that I knew when I was that age and thought like whether or not they were literature people or not, like I don't know that they had something like this to read that they would have recognized themselves in. And so like there's value to that. And that's what sort of what that story felt like it was about to me. And so I like that because I would have liked for those girls in my life back then to have had that to read.
That's beautiful.
Well, let's not push it, but
oh, that is like the one other compliment I think I will maybe leave you on here is that when we read Cheat and Show Me Your Face, we talked about how like you were able to capture how like exciting and intoxicating and like full of promise and potential being like a young female writer, or just writer in general in New York in the mid 2010s scene. Like it just like everywhere, like there's just like you can just do this, or you can like write online, and it felt like there was like a spirit and an excitement that you captured that also we read like in Darcy Wilder's Literally Show Me a Healthy Person, or things like that, where it just kind of like girl running amok in New York City with like the world at her fingertips, and you captured a very specific feeling that I think was very exciting.
Thank you. Yeah, I love running amok.
Yeah. Finding the one running amok.
Girl amok.
Danielle, what do you want to plug? Where can people find you? And then if you want to do Female Loneliness Epidemic one more time.
Well, everyone should look at my really pretty website, daniellechelosky.com. I made it myself, and it's really cool. And Female Loneliness Epidemic, I think, will be available the first week of September.
So it's already out. Okay, good. Okay.
Yay. farwestpress.com.
Cool.
All right, right on. Thank you,
Thank you
Danielle.
very much.